Time to try and make my own controller Shadowbox. So let's see if we can get this PlayStation 4 controller apart. This is the first time I have ever tried to take one apart. So hopefully it's fine. Now I got this controller along with 3 other controllers used for like 15 bucks, I think. And you can see it's pretty gross, pretty worn out, and there's some damage on the body parts, like the shell. You know, there's a joystick cover missing, stuff like that. But I wanted to get one cheap that I didn't feel guilty sacrificing for a project. And so that's how we got this guy. I know there's tabs down here as well. Woo, buddy! That was a lot harder than I meant, but that'll work. Ooh. Oh, that's so gross. Oh no. Oh, guys. That is nasty. We're definitely going to do some cleaning. So, for the Shadowbox, I want to have some of the major components, but I don't want to have all the components. So, like this battery tray and the battery itself, I don't need that. If I have room, I might put this in there, or I might leave it part of the assembly that goes together and just adhere it to it. I don't need these backing pieces because I really just want to show off the buttons themselves. I do want to keep the triggers because I want to make sure each button is represented in some way, because I think that's kind of a essential thing. Ooh. Oh, that's missing. I do want this circuit board. I think that's one of the coolest parts of it. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut off these little motors right at the joints. That way it'll lay as flat as possible if I end up putting this side down. And if not, they're still out of the way. And these buttons, oh, they're just a part of this little frame. So I might end up cutting them off, but I'm going to wait until I know for sure that I'm going to do that, because I don't want to cut it prematurely and then regret what I did. And that just pops right out. Oh, and so does that one. Cool. Alright, that wasn't too bad. Now that we have those pieces out, let's go ahead and drop it in some soapy water, and we'll let that soak while I figure out the layout. Oh, I love that that just shows the outline of the controller. Simple pleasures, guys. Simple pleasures. Ugh. While those parts soak, we're going to do some measuring. So this is the Shadowbox I've got. And first we have to figure out how much is actually going to be showing, because this is going to be blocking the image. So we don't want to plan anything to be in that area. So about 7 millimeters. 6, 7. Let's go ahead and check it at a couple spots because I doubt it's that consistent. 7. Oh, that one looks a little bit more shallow. Yeah, that's only 6.5. Okay, so approximately 7 millimeters. Okay, I can work with that. 7. Okay. Overall, it's going to be 256. I'll go ahead and double check it here too. Yep. 204. 2. Oh, this one's only 3. It's 204 at the bottom and 203 at the top, which is fine. That's more precise measurement than we actually need, because the reality is we really just need to know this depth, because this is the back that already comes with it, right? So I'm not going to be making a new back for it. This fits inside of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plan it on the back of this paper, and then once I get it to where I like it, I will probably take it to a print shop and print it off there so it looks nicer. Here I'm just measuring 7 millimeters in from each side so that I can account for what the frame is going to cover of the picture. Alright, that'll get us started. The artistic side of this project was really fun. I already had some idea of how I wanted to create the background from a few sketches, so I really just needed to find some high-resolution images that I could start cutting apart and tweaking together in Procreate. I found this one and I separated Chloe and Nadine so that they would flank the controller on either side. I knew cutting Chloe away from Nadine's back wouldn't be too bad because the controller would be covering it, but the gap it created between their heads needed to be addressed. I cut and paste different sections of the architecture from either one of their backgrounds until I found a section that I really liked how it fit, that had similar shape and lighting so that it wouldn't stand out. I put the Lost Legacy logo over it and added essentially a little cloud and blurred out its edges to hide some of the roughness and sharp cutaways from the architecture that I had gotten from essentially copy pasting areas. Overall, I think it feels pretty cohesive. I added the Naughty Dog logo and the PlayStation 4 logo at the bottom corners. I considered adding the Sony and DualShock logos on the top corners, but I'm really glad that I didn't. It would have been clutter and honestly a little bit redundant. I added black at the bottom and created a gradient with it and blurred it upwards until you could no longer see the hard cut of Chloe's legs from the cropping of the original image. Overall, I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I really want to do this project again. Once I got the artwork into a place I was pretty happy with, it was time to print it off and do some test fitting. So at first I printed this and I thought, man, this really doesn't match up. And then I realized that I had not changed the margins whenever I went to print it, so it shrunk the size down. So if you compare it to the lines on here, it was over, gosh, it was almost a full inch too short. So went back, printed it again, ended up with this guy, which I then carried around for the rest of the project, so sorry it's a little bit crumply. And then I set about mocking it up with the artwork I just made. So I did my edits and I went to try and do a test print again. And as you can see, the test print also did not line up correctly. I removed the margins and I told it not to scale up to fit, but it still did. And that was kind of frustrating, but honestly, I was doing this printing at like my apartment's little office center, so I was using a different computer each time, so it was probably user error and not telling it to print correctly. But anyway, I wanted to do the test prints before I sent it off for an official print, and so this one was too big. As you can see, this just didn't line up, but I did end up being really happy with the layout, and I thought I'd take a gamble and just go ahead and send it to print. Now, the problem with sending it to print was that when I wanted to send it to Staples, Staples' online setup didn't have an option where I could set it to just print the exact size. No matter what I did, it would either scale it up or scale it down or cut it out. There was like, it would zoom in and cut off sections of it. And so I couldn't get a 9.5 by 7.5-ish through Staples. Even if I went a size bigger, I wanted to just get a quality print and then I would cut the edges down, but I could not get that to work on their website. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll try the Walmart print center. And they were closer because they at least did have a size of 8 by 10. So I thought, well, if I make it an 8 by 10 and I just have a border so that it's, you know, the 7.5 and not 8, and then 9.5 and not 10, that it would print just fine. And it did not. It looks awesome. I am super happy with how it looks. I think it looks great. But the problem was when I would tell it to fit the whole image in the 8 by 10, it would have a white border on the screen. But whenever it would print it full. So that meant I had 1/4 inch excess on each side because 1/2 inch over total. And I was a little bit frustrated. I tried to get some help from the Walmart people, but I mean, we all know that they're underpaid and abused, so I don't blame him. He tried to help, but we couldn't find a solution where it would keep the border white so I could just cut it down later. But it ended out working okay, because this is the backboard for it, and it fits it pretty good. And so if we go ahead and just stick it in here, because this is going to be the box we're going to use, it fits in there fine. I'm a little bummed out that it starts to cut in on the edges. If you can see, like, especially like on this side, it's like it has a little bit of wiggle room, right? And if I have a little excess here, well, then that one's right up against the edge. And I planned it to actually have more showing. So I'm a little bit sad about that. But after spending, I mean, actual hours trying to get one to print to size, I just didn't have it in me anymore. I think in the future, what I would probably do is make my canvas 8 by 10 size that I know Walmart has, and then make the image the interior size that I want it to be, and then just put in the black background myself and tell it to fill the screen. And I think I would probably have better luck that way. But I am pretty happy with this. I think it's closer than I like, but I think it's good enough to get going and really keep going on this project. So I have never done this project before, and now we're getting to the part that kind of makes me nervous, and that's actually mounting everything to the image, which also means I'm going to do some irreversible damage to the controller and its parts. So I guess let's just get into it. And the reason that I have to do this damage is because of the depth of the shadow box. So if you look at it at this angle, if we put this here, you can see how it's going to be a problem in closing, right? So I'm going to just start cutting away plastic and see if I can get it to lay nicely, and gosh, I guess just go from there. Now what would be really nice is if I had a Dremel or a cutting tool of some kind, a power cutting tool of some time, but I don't. I've got some old-fashioned side cutters, and I'm just going to see if this will work. I have faith. I have faith. Oh God. All right. Whew. I mean, it worked. All right, now I just have to scare myself like 20 more times. All right. This is looking pretty sweet. Oh man, is it time to start gluing stuff? I'm kind of scared. So, but before we get started gluing these down, I want to glue this button and this button into the controller because I just don't have enough space to mount them separately and look good. So I think I'm going to try and adhere them first and then go back to assembly. Ooh, that would be dangerous, dropping that. Future Doodle Bomb here, and I just want to let you all know I would not recommend using this super glue. It's like a cheap super glue I got from Dollar Tree, and it works fine in most cases except that it had a little bit of a reaction to some of the plastic parts of the controller, and it ended up giving it kind of like an ashy finish, so it's a little discolored in areas. It's not super noticeable, but if you're going for like that perfect finish, I would use something different. Like I hear people like Gorilla Glue, that 6000 glue, and hot glue have all worked for other people, so I figure since I learned this, I ought to share it with you guys. Once those buttons were solidly mounted and I double checked any trimming I had done, I knew I couldn't procrastinate any longer and it was time to start gluing. Oh, oh, that's a big old drip. Okay, this is dangerous, but let's try and do it. Let's try and do it. Okay. That looks decent, I guess. Oh man, I can't believe I did such big gobs. Okay, it's set a few minutes. Probably not long enough because I'm an impatient lady, but you know what? I'm ready. I need to see what this is going to look like. Ooh. Oh, it looks so good. Okay, but here's the real test. I'm closing all the tabs on the back. And that still ended up so close. All right. All right. None of the parts are falling off. Oh man. This looks so much better than I thought it would. I really love this. You can see the glue just a little bit. I mean, I'm sure if I did this again, I could probably make a better one. But I think this looks really stinking good. I'm going to let it sit because I see a little glue run from me moving it. So I'm guessing that that part had not dried. But I'm really happy with this. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really love this project and I cannot wait to do more. If you like this video, please consider liking and subscribing. There's plenty more projects coming as I'm doing one Uncharted project a week for all of 2025.